Okay, good afternoon. Thank you guys for coming. Snacks are in the back. For those of you that are present, please help yourself. It is my pleasure to introduce my friend, Sonja Sheffield, today. She's going to talk about the library itself and things that services the library offers and how to access them. I learned just today that even students in the consortium that aren't part of South can get a login while they're here in the summer to take advantage of the library. So there's all sorts of things that they do that even I'm still learning about. Sonja did her undergraduate at Kent State University in Ohio. She went to the University of Kansas and started a degree in botany, then relocated to South for personal reasons. Wound up getting a master's in library science, leaving academia for a bit to go to industry and then working her way back to the library at South. So she's had a different kind of path. And so grad students at lunch, I would encourage you to talk with Sonja about, choices you make and careers and different options. I think sometimes we are sort of focused on this academic mindset, but there's really lots of options out there. In Sonja's free time, she enjoys being a mom to two boys. Also, she's a belly dancer. So there's something for you guys to talk about later on. So I'll turn it over. Thanks. Help me welcome Sonja.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, thank you so much, Lee. I appreciate it. So like Lee said, I'm here to talk about what can the library do for you? I know you guys are down here on the island most of the time. Some of you do have office hours on campus, but that's not where you spend the vast majority of the time. And I want to try to encourage everybody here to think of the Marx Library as your library too, because it really is. I am the STEM instruction librarian. I was hired June 1st for that position. There has not really been an active STEM instructor for a while in library science. The first thing I wanted to do is talk a little bit. The Marx Library is the main library on campus. We have two other libraries. We have a business library and a biomedical library. But all of the sciences outside of medical are in the Marx Library. We have a library liaison program. I am your library liaison. So if you have trouble with something, if you need access to something, if you have a student that's having trouble, you come to me. You have a person to come to, not an organization to come to. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of both of those things. So the University of South Alabama was founded in 1963. The first library was a room in the Whidden Administration Building. That's what it's called now. It's that oldest building on campus on University Boulevard there. I believe physics is in there now and some administration is still in there, but most of it has been moved other places on campus. In 1968, they opened the library with their first 10,000 books. And what Dr. Whidden, who was the head of the library, the head of the entire university at the time, what he asked people to do was to go ahead and look at the undergraduate books that the University of Michigan and North Carolina had and use that as a template. So that's how the library got started. And then in 1968, when we opened our own building, which, how many people have been on campus and how many have at least seen the library? Okay. So those big glass windows on the front, that whole side of the building was added on in 2003. And the existing building behind it, they built a new building in front of it, and then they connected the two with lots of jackhammers and welders. And it was incredibly noisy and dusty and dirty. And you can't even imagine shifting all of those books back and forth. It was crazy. It was renamed the Marx Library in 2013 because we had a $3 million donation from the Julian Marx Foundation. Julian Marx was a local person in Mobile who did a lot of charitable work. He actually was in the military and then in real estate development. But he did a lot of work for underserved and underprivileged and would do things like develop whole areas and then give it to another charitable group. So before 2015, we had what's called a bibliographer library and librarians. So what does that mean? That's what you think of when you think of librarians and you're thinking of the lady with the bun and the little reader glasses, who's sitting behind a desk and going, shh, shh, right? That's what we think of when we think of librarians, right? That is the bibliographer model, where what a librarian does is order books, rearrange books, and make sure those books are available to the public. Libraries have changed a lot in the last 20 years. Everything is online now. And libraries, to remain relevant, need to have far more than books in a building. Because you guys aren't even on campus most of the time, right? Books in the library building probably of minimal use to you. And in fast-paced science, books are out of date by the time they get on the shelf often. I'll give you a great example. One of the things I'm doing is weeding. So weeding in the library world is just getting rid of stuff that's no longer applicable. I weeded a 2003 Encyclopedia of Genetics. Like, whew, man, that's been out of date for at least 20 years. It was still in our reference collection, which means you couldn't even check it out. Like, why are we protecting that? Gone. We have online resources that fulfill that need way better. So each liaison has a group of departments. So I'm the STEM librarian. I do the sciences, technology, which basically covers computer science, engineering. I'm the librarian for all the engineers, and mathematics. So all those people, all the faculty together, all the students, I work with all of them. And it's nice because there's a lot of overlap between you guys down here and chemistry and geology and biology, depending on what your focus is. So it makes sense for me to work with all of those faculty as a group. Before, we had a system where librarians, and I know this, we had a librarian who had geology and gender studies. I mean, that's cool, but there's not a lot of overlap there. Okay, and the geology, they might be requesting something that, oh yeah, it's because geology and meteorology together, it's something that physics already ordered. So instead of the librarian saying, oh yeah, no, we've already done that, they would have to go through and search the catalog for every single order. That's tough. There's a much greater focus on outreach with this system, which is one of the reasons I'm standing in front of you today. But we also want feedback. So when something's not working for you, for example, when I taught Dr. Krause's class, I said, I can get your students access. He had 4 undergraduate students who are here from the University of North Alabama. They don't have access to anything in our library. We probably have a collection that's going to serve their needs better than the University of North Alabama, because we have a lot of marine-based databases, journals, books, even if they needed. So I was able to get them a V number. It's like you guys have V numbers to log in if you're not a student. I was able to get them V numbers so they're able to log in. And we're going to talk about that too. So some things that the library offers. We have course reserves. Now, course reserves are on campus. You can put personal materials or something the library already owns on reserve. You have 3 options. There's 2 hour in the building, which allows students to like make a couple copies if they need to. 24 hours, they can check it out, keep it out for 1 night, or I think it's 3 day. This is going to be made into a PDF. All of these links, like the emails and stuff, they're all hyperlinks. You will be able to click on them from the PDF if you need to get a hold of circulation. The best way to do this is by emailing or calling them. There is a form online, but it's just way easier to call them and talk to them. They know exactly what to do. Interlibrary loan. Who in here has used interlibrary loan before? Okay. So I did a little looking into it. Last year, 75 items were ordered by marine and environmental sciences through interlibrary loan. Actually, the vast majority of those were for your PhD students, about 44 of them. So that was the largest requester. If you have not used interlibrary loan before, I definitely want you to encourage you to do so. The vast majority of interlibrary loan we get is free. Articles, sometimes same day, 24 hours, pretty common. I know I requested for my research, sorry, that's a microphone. I requested for my research one morning this last week, an article, it was in my inbox by lunch. So they are very quick. If they can find it quick, they will get it quick. That's their goal. They want to turn it around as quickly as possible. They don't want people to back up and have to wait. So has anybody not used interlibrary loan before? It's off. Has anybody not used interlibrary loan before? A couple. Okay, let's see if I can walk back here. Okay. Okay. So when you click on that link, the first thing you're going to do, I'm not going to walk through everything, is you're going to go to this first time user registration if you've never used interlibrary loan before. It's just going to ask you a bunch of information. It's going to ask you to create a username and login. That is not your university login. You don't have to use your J number or your V number. You can use whatever you want. However, you can use your V number or your J number just for sake of consistency if you want to. That makes it easier for you, that's okay. But just be aware that you will have to log into that separately, even if you're logged into USA Online or PAWS or something like that. So once you log in, it's going to ask you if you are on Google Scholar, if you are on one of our databases and we don't have access to something, there will usually be a link that says request this through interlibrary loan. And when you click it, if you've already made an account, it will log you in and pull up your paper, automatically fills everything in. And I want to encourage everybody at the bottom, it's going to ask you, how much are you willing to pay for this? Always, always, always choose free and do not feel bad about it. Okay, always. Because even if you say, I'm willing to pay $5, $15, $20 for this, they are going to look for free first. Now, sometimes you can't get something for free. They get about 98% of everything for free. And if you say free and they can't get it for free, they will actually come back to you and say, hey, we weren't able to find this for free. We would have to pay, $25. Are you willing to pay that? They're not just going to cancel it. They're excellent at customer service and they want to make your job easier. They're not like, well, this is the rule. Now we cancel it. No. They're trying to help you out, but don't hesitate to say free. They will not think anything one way or the other. They don't put it in the front of the queue if you say you're willing to pay $100 for it. Everybody, it's first come, first serve, and don't feel bad at all about saying free. Oops. Okay, reference assistance. Reference assistance is available, and this is more for your students and grad students. If you have like a basic question about the library, because when they're talking about this web ref chat, that is more for basic questions. And the reason that we have that is what we found when we had a reference desk that was staffed by librarians the entire time we were open, which meant librarians came in on the weekends and worked, and we always had somebody there. What do you guys think our most common question was at the reference desk? Where is the, you get a prize. Where is the restroom? That was, and so we were staffing this reference desk with faculty to answer, where's your bathroom? That's a ridiculous use of money, right? I mean, that doesn't make any sense anymore. So we changed our model. This is all part of that liaison librarianship. We changed our model. We have a chat on our homepage where people can ask questions like that. We also do have people, the circulation desk. You could always ask the people at the circulation desk, and they are completely qualified to tell you where the bathroom is or to how to print. And if it's something that they don't know, like if somebody comes up to them and says, hey, I'm really having trouble with this research, they will then refer you to your librarian. Okay. So also, again, these are hyperlinks. When I make the PDF, you will be able to click on them and email WebRef or myself. Okay, so let's talk about some of the basic services. And what I'm going to do here Sure I don't. So we're just going to talk about the library homepage a little bit and some of the things that you can do. So over here on quick links, here is our handy dandy Ask a Librarian, and here is our chat. All you have to do is type a question in here. Ask a Librarian, we have frequently asked questions. How do I print in the library? Super frequent question. We're going to go back. I'm going to skip that for just a second. Here's the information about course reserves that I talked about. Here is the interlibrary loan. This is the home page. So if you're not sure how to get to the home page, if you go to just University of South Alabama, you'll notice up here it says libraries. And remember, your library is the Marx Library. That gets you to the home page. So very simple. The link on the picture of the Marx Library will take you directly to the Marx Library homepage. So here's our interlibrary loan link. So if you are already a user, you would obviously click login, but here is some basic information. So this format here, so you see this series of tabs up here. These are actually, and you'll see on the website address that says LibGuides. We're going to talk a lot about LibGuides. LibGuides are web pages that are made by the librarians to aggregate information. They're not part of the web page proper. They're separate pages. They're hosted by a company called SpringShare. But the reason I'm pointing these out is this is the kind of guide if I teach a class or if you have a need, like finding out what other ways you can check for plagiarism besides Turnitin, or how to use Turnitin outside of a course. We can make this page in a day and aggregate that information. It's easy to change. All the librarians have access to it. So like I make a page, I can pull it right back up. I don't need to get with IT or anything like that to make these changes. So that's why you often see these with the tabs across the top. Our interlibrary loan department made this page. It also means that it's really easy to change. What is that? Go back to our home page here. We're going to talk a little bit about the Center for Academic Excellence a little bit later. This is the Tutoring Center. Instructional Services. If you click on that, if you are teaching a writing course, I would definitely encourage you to request a library instruction session. I would be the person normally who would come and do it, so it would be me. So if you're going to request library instruction, you just go through the prompts and you come up with a Google request form. Super easy. Back here, we're going to talk about JAGWorks. And this has some information about remote access, and I'm just going to click on it to show you. This is, again, it's one of those LibGuides. So if something changes, it's very easy for us to change. Okay. Okay, so remote login. Everybody here has a V number, right? Has everybody logged into the library databases at least once? You've used them. Okay. So once you have your V number, you log in just like you do anyone else. I just put, and this will be in the PDF. And my thought, since I figured everybody here had done this before, when you guys have new faculty, you can show them this layout. Once they have their V number, I actually have a V number. I had the library give me a V number, and I logged in from my personal email just so I could get screenshots. So you guys can use that hopefully for future faculty, graduate students or undergraduates in the case that have V numbers. And yes, students from other campuses. So when you guys have your summer program and you have undergrads from other campuses who do not have J numbers and will not get a J number just for the summer, they can get V numbers. And I can help with that. If you can give me a list, what I need is their name and their university email. So whatever university they're from, their university email, and that's how they'll log in. I can get those V numbers and I can turn it over in one day. Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about library instruction. So what is library instruction? Like, what am I coming down and if I'm coming down here or I'm meeting you on campus, what am I doing? Well, I do a lot of explaining to students how to search better. How when they get 30,000 results when they do their search, we need to find a way to narrow your topic. So what does that mean? How do you narrow a topic? I make practice worksheets for them. They can use their own information and use that worksheet. And I'll show you guys one of these LibGuides. I put those worksheets online and make them fillable PDFs. They can fill it out as many times as they need to get it right. I did actually teach a physical chemistry class where they weren't doing research. They were just writing. So we talked a lot about citation mining. We talked about best practices in how you use citation, making things consistent. Some of the pitfalls of using AI to make your citations. And we talk a little bit about AI. What is a good use of AI? If you ever want me to talk about that in your classroom, there are some really interesting ways to use AI, even for research. You can make lists of technical lists of synonyms for things. AI is pretty good at that sometimes, but AI hallucinates. If you ask it for synonyms for northern pin-tailed ducks, some of the things you get are quackers. Definitely would not put that in my library search database. Puddle ducks, I wouldn't put that in there either. So every time I teach a class, no matter what the focus is, we're focusing on research, whether we're focusing on integrity, whether we're focusing on citations or mining or developing a research hypothesis, I will always make a LibGuide. And because those LibGuides, they're online guides for your class, they're there, they're public, nobody needs to log in to get them. Anybody from anywhere can take a look at them. So, let's say you're somewhere and you need to do it on your phone and logging in is a real pain on your phone. You don't have to do that for any of these guides. They're all publicly available. But I can also, even if I'm not teaching in your class, if you have a series of things that you want your students to have access to, like, well, I don't really think it's worth a 45-minute instruction session, but I really want to talk to them about citation mining. I can make you just a sheet for citation mining that you can share with your students. Yeah, so LibGuides are available 24/7. Of course, they're online. So even if I'm not in the office, this is a good place for students to start with questions. It can include information specific to your class or assignments. It also can include a variety of resources. Everybody learns a little differently. We can do some images, some text, and videos. We do a little bit of everything. They are publicly available. Like I said, you don't have to log in. Okay, so this is just, step here. This is an example of a LibGuide I created for Marine Sciences 2. And we have a couple of different things here. This is the worksheet that I made. So there, it's all fillable. You can fill it out online. Students can download it if they want. They can print it out if they want, but it's there. It doesn't have to be printed. I give some examples of search term generations. For this class, I included some information about off-campus access. So if you have students who are off campus, who come in by Zoom frequently, this is something I don't always include it. If you have an undergraduate class where it's a 100 level or 200 level class, you're probably not going to need that. Most of the students are coming on their own. We always have an interlibrary loan, some information about interlibrary loan. But for this class, they had a wide variety of styles for citation. So what I did was I had some information about choosing a style. We have a couple of videos for the 3 most common, MLA, Chicago, and APA, and then some more information for some free citation generators that have a lot of variety, everything from the American Chemical Society to AP New Style. So a lot of different things. I talked to them how they can use Google Scholar, and we're going to talk about Google Scholar and attaching it to your professional library, in this case, the Marx Library. We talk about citation mining. And in this case, we talked about primary, secondary, and tertiary sources and the differences between them. Every course guide is going to look different because the requirement is always a little bit different. I tweak them. I will borrow pages like that citation mining page. I'll borrow it and use it somewhere else. But if I have a professor who specifically says, hey, I really like my students to use this method, I will add it. So, and then sometimes I'll use that and I'm like, oh, that's really good. I should have added that a long time ago. Okay. So these are just links. I already showed you the library instruction research consultation link where you can, go ahead and request library instruction. You can also just email me. I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody. When you email me, make sure you put like in the subject heading, request for instruction or something like that, so it catches my eye, because like you guys, I get a bazillion emails from vendors trying to sell me whatever database for the library, and from all the emails from the university, the digest list that comes out every day, and the wooden medical cooler, all that stuff. Okay, so individual research assistants. Usually this is graduate students who are brand new. We have some graduate students who come in who are brand new, who, do you guys have a lot of international students? Some, okay. Engineering has a lot of international students, and they may or may not have had access to who knows what where they were. I actually had 2 students this summer from Nepal. And you have to be careful when you make assumptions. They were looking at how to keep dirt in place. And so my assumption is during an earthquake, right? No, during monsoon season. Oh, okay. So now we're talking about water flow and mud flow. Okay, 2 different things. And we're talking about with earth shaking. And they were talking about this, it's a fiber that is dirt. So it's basically fake dirt. Like, I didn't know such a thing existed. But I was able to help them, like they weren't finding. So we talked about synonyms and we found some good synonyms. We found like one paper that had how they were looking it up. And I said, what else are they calling it in this paper? So I showed them how they could find new keywords to search with, and then they started finding what they needed to find. So not only these students did not have any background or not much background searching library databases, there was also a language barrier. So when you have that and you have that struggle, it's good to have a person who can sit down. Now, normally, we don't do a ton of individual, except for with our PhD students, or sometimes our honor students will come in, they need help, because we try to get in front of you guys in a classroom to, hit everybody at once, because then we always have the people who never ask for help, right? You have those students who, that they are smart enough, but they never ask for help. I don't know if they feel bad or whatever. I get in front of those students when I get into your classroom. So they get that information. And they also are a little more likely to reach out to me if they've seen me and realize I don't bite. Okay, so let's talk about the Center for Academic Excellence. It used to be the Writing Center, but now it's a tutoring and writing center. They can help your students with formatting a paper, double checking their citations, making sure they're formatted correctly. They can also help students, like let's say you have a student who's got the biological concepts down, but they're struggling with the math. They can help with that. They offer in-person and Zoom instruction, important for students that live down here on the island who may not even have a way to campus. They are absolutely available for students from other universities who are currently taking classes. They can email. There is an email. We're going to actually click and go to the site. So you can see, here is the email. If you email them directly, I went over and spoke to the Center for Academic Excellence. The person who runs it is a lady named Justine. And she said, absolutely, email them, have them email me, and we will set it up. So if they're struggling to figure out, like, how do I request this and the form's not working because I have a V number, not a J number, email her. And that center is staffed all the times the library is open. So it is open on the weekends. They might not get an answer right away on the weekend. They might not be till Monday, but they will absolutely work with any students who are taking classes here, whether they are USA students or not, okay? So that is another thing. If you have students who are trying to write a paper at the end of the summer, or they're struggling with finding anything, send them our way. Okay, who knows about JAGWorks? I see a couple hands. Okay, so JAGWorks is our institutional repository. So what does, okay, what the heck is that? It features a publishing platform, and it is a solution for storage, okay, managing and sharing data, licensing and copyright tools. Now, JAGWorks, most of what is in JAGWorks is publicly accessible, and it gets access from people all over the world. We're going to go on their site in a second. If you put something on there that you don't necessarily want all over the world, but you want to be able to share it with your students, so you put it in a digital format, you can share it with your students, they will absolutely put protections on that data. So it is not publicly accessible. So it can be a secure place to put things that you're not ready to share yet as well. So Jana Herman is the director, and she actually works in the library as well. She's not a librarian. Her background is actually in marine science, which is super exciting. She has her undergraduate degree in marine science from USA. And she is our director, and she does a great job of, in this repository we've only had since 2022. So it's brand new. And that's maybe why you haven't heard of it before. Let's click. Okay. Load. So one of the neat things about their web page is it's got who is, so somebody is reading, somebody from Montevallo, somebody from Bangladesh is reading our medical school water cooler newsletter. Interesting. But you can go through, somebody from Los Angeles is reading something, Knoxville, Tennessee. But there are papers in here too. But you can, it's really fascinating to watch. And I see Montevallo come up a lot. Somebody up there is doing a lot of research about South. But Pomona, California. This is in the last 24 hours, reader from Beijing. So this is a publicly available repository where you can put information that you want disseminated, or you can use it as storage and they can put everything under lock and key. So it's not publicly available like this. I think it might be something that, I know that there is a NASA grant for, I think, undergraduate research. NASA? I'll have to look. But it's a grant that is working with Dauphin Island or was gotten down here, and that information is all going to go into our repository, so it's publicly available. I can't remember who Jana said she was working with. But if you guys have interest in this, Jana would love to come down and talk about it sometime. And she can give you more detail on what it is that they do, but you can see it's well used. Okay, Google Scholar. So we're going to do just a real brief tutorial. How do you get Google Scholar to show you what's available in the South databases? Has anybody done this before? Has anybody connected? Okay, a couple people have. If you haven't, okay. Now, remember I said LibGuides, those online guides, how quick they are to change? This is a PDF. To change a PDF, first you need to make a new PDF, and then you need to get IT to put it up. So this is slightly out of date. Settings is not in the same place in Google Scholar anymore. It's under the drop-down menu at the top left. But you can still find it. It looks, everything else looks the same. You're going to search for University of South Alabama. And it's going to actually scroll down a little bit. That's what it's going to look like when it comes up. It's going to say University of South Alabama, full text at USA. That's what you want to click on. When you do that, when you search through, if you have not done this before, highly recommend it, because when you find something in Google Scholar and it says full text at USA, you can click on that link. Now, if you haven't logged in and you're not on campus, you will have to log in with your V number or your J number, but it'll take you directly to that article if we have it in text. So if you have not done that, I highly recommend it. And this will get changed, but it'll take a while because, again, it's hard to go through. One of the things we are doing to make our website more responsive is taking all of these kinds of things and making them libguides, because those I can go in and change it in about 15 minutes. This takes a lot longer. Okay, so what else do we do? First, I want to point out this lovely marine shell display that we have. Local Gold Award Girl Scout Victoria Marx, who's now a freshman, finishing up her freshman year as a medical student. This is in the library, right on the second floor. It's not very far from my office. And Lee, Dr. Smee, was the one who helped her, and I found a good place. She needed to have it someplace in the public. So it's probably had a couple thousand students walk by it. It was very popular. People commented on it, and Lee, you may not know this. People comment all the time how much they liked it. And I actually need to make some more copies of her little experiment she has up there because we got 2 left. So super fascinating. So we do a lot of outreach. We want to be the library, our community. Libraries are for their communities. Our community is the university and the faculty and the students. For Week of Welcome on campus, we do a lot of activities. We have a giant Jenga that the engineering students will come over and they'll have contests to see who can build the biggest Jenga tower. We have a cornhole game. We do all kinds of fun things for students. We give free coffee out. On Valentine's Day, we gave free, I shouldn't say Valentine's Day, a week before Valentine's Day, we gave out free pink drinks because we have a Starbucks downstairs, which don't ever wish for Starbucks in your building ever. I don't even care for Starbucks. I spend way too much money there. We are a designated safe space through our DEI department. That's no longer DEI. I can't remember what they're called now, but that's another story. We have a learning commons on the first floor. It's open to all students. Students have to scan in to get in there, but it's a community space where you can study in a large group. They have big whiteboards, people can talk, they can work out problems. We have a graduate student lounge on the 3rd floor where the wallpaper is whiteboard. We do outreach to students on a regular basis, and we do have social media that students follow us and see. I know it's raining. What is that? Okay, that is really all I have for you guys today. Please let me know if you have questions. Let me come over here. So those of you who are online, if you have questions, go ahead and type them in the chat and I'll try to answer them as well as I can. But thank you guys so much for having me here today, and I hope to see much more of you in the future.